Kiss, Beth. The untold story behind the song. In 1976, Kiss was becoming one of the biggest rock bands in America. They had the makeup, the platform boots, the explosions, the blood, the fire, and then right in the middle of all that chaos, one of their biggest hits became a quiet piano ballad sung by their drummer. No screaming guitars, no giant guitar solo. In fact, the other members of Kiss didn't even play their instruments on the finished recording. This is the strange story of Beth. And it actually began years before Kiss recorded it. Before Peter Criss joined Kiss, he played in a band called Chelsea with guitarist Stan Penridge. Penridge and Criss worked on an early song called Beck. And yes, there really was a Beck. According to the story Peter Criss has told over the years, Beck was the wife of one of their bandmates. She would frequently call while the guys were rehearsing, asking when her husband was coming home. The band started joking about those calls. "When are you coming home? Why are you still rehearsing?" That idea eventually became a song about a musician trying to explain to the woman waiting at home why he couldn't leave the band just yet. Years later, Peter Criss brought the song into Kiss. But by then, Beck was about to become Beth. Producer Bob Ezrin helped reshape the song for their album Destroyer. Gene Simmons has said the name was changed because Beck sounded too much like Jeff Beck, so Beck became Beth. Ezrin also helped transform the music into something completely unexpected for Kiss. Instead of Ace Frehley ripping through a solo, or Gene Simmons pounding away on bass, the recording was built around Peter Criss's voice, piano, and an orchestral arrangement. Think about how bizarre that must have sounded in 1976. This was Kiss, the band that breathed fire and spit blood. They had just recorded a love ballad with an orchestra. And here's another strange part. Kiss didn't originally expect Beth to become the monster hit. It was released as the B-side of Detroit Rock City. Detroit Rock City was supposed to be the song getting everybody's attention, but something unexpected happened. Radio DJs began turning the record over. They started playing Beth, and listeners loved it. Casablanca Records eventually recognized what was happening and began promoting Beth in its own right. The song climbed the charts. The song climbed all the way to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Kiss's first top 10 single in America. And for decades, it remained the band's highest charting single. There's also an interesting irony in the lyrics. Peter sings about being stuck rehearsing with the boys while Beth waits at home. "Me and the boys will be playing all night." Yet on the recording that became famous, the boys weren't actually playing with him. It was Peter Criss singing with session musicians. And the success of Beth changed something else. Peter Criss suddenly had something none of the other members of Kiss had at that point. He was the voice of their biggest hit. The drummer was suddenly standing at the front of the stage every night singing the song. He was singing the song everybody had heard on the radio. But there's another layer to the story. Songwriting credits have been disputed. The official songwriting credits belong to Peter Criss, Stan Penridge, and Bob Ezrin. Peter has long described himself as deeply involved in creating the song. But years later, Stan Penridge gave a very different account, claiming that he had written most of the original song himself. What isn't controversial is what happened after it was released. A song that didn't sound anything like Kiss became a career-defining hit. A song originally placed on the B-side that became one of the biggest songs of their entire career, and the drummer sang it. A song originally placed on the B-side that became one of the biggest songs of their entire career, and the drummer sang it. Beth even won Kiss the People's Choice Award for Favorite New Song in 1977. Not bad for a song that started as a joke. And maybe that's why Beth has lasted. Underneath the makeup and explosions was something almost everybody could understand. Somebody waiting at home, and somebody saying, "Just a few more hours, and I'll be right home to you." And that is the untold story behind Kiss's Beth. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe for more stories behind the songs.